Should we hit on the Jordan Chiles news before we get to the preview? Because this was really interesting. This is the one where Chiles had her score come in and she was placed 5th, but then the coaches filed an appeal. I think they called it an inquiry in gymnastics. And the inquiry decided, yes, the score was incorrect. It was something to do with, I think they misjudged the difficulty of a particular skill that she had not performed, I think, in the qualifying and did perform in the final. So there was a discrepancy there. So they said, okay, yes, we misjudged the difficulty there. Therefore, your score is higher, and now you have enough points to move into 3rd place, and you win the bronze. The loser in that instance, the one who had been in 3rd place and then was bumped all the way down to 5th, was a Romanian named Ana Barbosu, who then filed an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and that appeal was heard today, or was ruled on today, and they ruled that Chiles, the inquiry was invalid, and that her original score should be her final score because the challenge was filed outside of the 1-minute deadline that you have to submit a challenge. Now there's some questions about whether or not Chiles will have to give back the bronze medal, because the Court of Arbitration for Sport says, that's not our call. We'll leave it up to gymnastics. And then gymnastics says, well, we'll leave it up to the IOC. So there's some questions there about whether Chiles will get to keep that bronze. So there's more to come on this, but a really strange situation having her score downgraded after the fact.
Yeah, that domino effect of sort of passing the buck is interesting. And so I was reading, Tom Shad from USA Today had a good story explaining this. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess the Court of Arbitration for Sport makes the rulings on the inquiry, but they said that it's the International Gymnastics Federation's decision on what the actual rankings are. And so I think they updated their rankings to put Chiles in 5th. But then they said the rankings have Chiles in 5th, but the IOC has to decide what to do about the medal. Because I think it's one thing to announce, well, actually, you're in 5th place. It's another thing to go to Jordan Chiles and say, you must give us the medal back because we don't recognize you winning it anymore. This is a brutal situation that feels totally avoidable to me. And, you know, I was thinking, I was comparing it to the Vinesh Phogat situation, the wrestler, because this is now the 2nd time in a few days that we have talked about sort of challenges and rules. And I was trying to think about, like, I want to be ideologically consistent. I don't want to just like let emotion sway me and feel one way in one event versus another, depending on who the people are that are involved. So I was thinking about it this way with Phogat. That I thought was a bad rule. The rule that because she missed weight the 2nd day, she was then ineligible and should lose the silver that she had earned the day before. That I thought was a bad rule. The gymnastics, I understand that there's a rule. The problem is I don't know how it ever got to this point, because I guess there's an inquiry made, and if you've got to make an inquiry within a minute, and she made it in longer than that time, like, okay, I don't know gymnastics well enough to know if a minute is a good amount of time, but I can certainly understand and support the fact that there's a rule, you got to get it in this time limit, or else it doesn't hold up. The issue to me is with the application of the rule, because if they put in the inquiry, you would think they have like a checklist of things, and they say they are making an inquiry, and we will run through this list of things to see if we agree with the inquiry. And you would think the first thing on that list should be, did they make this challenge in time? Because if that is not the case, then they could have ended this right then, and they could have said, we're sorry, you did not get your challenge in time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think you hit it on the head there, because like if the challenge is invalid, then the challenge is invalid and don't move forward with it. And I'd be curious to see. I haven't seen in any of the reporting when the challenge was made. Whether if you get a minute, was it made after a minute and 10 seconds, or was it made after 5 minutes? Because there's a difference there too, right? So
I saw on Twitter. I forget who it was. I saw it was like a minute and 4 seconds. I think. Like which is I know off. I want to double check. Terrible, like heartbreaking how close that is.
Yeah.
But they should know that when they're making the assessment, they should know immediately whether it was put in time or not.
You're right. We're not gymnastics experts. I think still a minute seems really, really quick to make that call. Because what if you have trouble getting the metaphorical challenge flag out of your sock? It's really, really quick to have to make that decision. I think that's something they should look at.